I'm Susan Della Ross, and I teach the International Women's Human Rights Clinic. I got my start in college days fighting sex discrimination at my campus. I went to Knox College in Galesburg, Illinois, and they had hours for women, but not hours for men. That meant you had to be home back in your dorm by 11 at night if you were a woman, but the boys had no restrictions. And so in my senior year, some other friends and I launched a campaign against it. So that was my first campaign. I spent my junior year in France. I had a Dutch roommate. I visited her for Easter one year. And in her home was this interesting book by Simone de Beauvoir, The Second Sex. And I was greatly intrigued by this book, the way it laid out all the sex discrimination that women faced in all areas of thought. I mean, it was really an astounding book. Continued to be interested in these issues because I went to Peace Corps a year later. I served in Ivory Coast, West Africa, Côte d'Ivoire. In the course of working in those villages, I saw how badly women were treated. We were in a village and we were invited to go with some women into the woods where a ceremony was being held. I later learned it was FGM. I didn't know what FGM meant at the time. And the women danced while the little girl was being cut. I'll never forget the expression on her face. When I came back, I went to law school. And it was the beginning of the second wave of the women's movement, so it was a very great time to be in New York City. When I started law school, only 3% of the nation's lawyers were women. Women's role is to be in the home. There was one professor at the law school who only called on women on Ladies' Day. So there was discrimination on a lot of fronts. In the US, we could challenge sex discriminatory laws in court. We could also seek legislative change. I'd worked on getting new laws passed, like the Pregnancy Discrimination Act of 1978, to help women who were fired or didn't get benefits because they were pregnant. I suppose the most notable is that I came to represent Anita Hill in the hearings against Clarence Thomas. As soon as women learn about the law and how it disadvantages them, a lot of women lawyers feel inspired to do something to try to change it. Some of the men too. It's been very heartening to have male lawyers who want to work alongside us. The reason I first started the clinic is that some of the women from Uganda were very interested in starting an NGO to work on women's issues when they went back to Uganda. At that point, all the human rights treaties had begun to be enforced. They weren't in existence when I was in law school. And I'd gotten very excited because they all required that men and women be treated equally.
Human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights once and for all.
So I saw how lawyers in other countries could bring the same kind of either legislative or litigation challenges to discriminatory laws and win equal rights, because that's the route we had taken here in the United States. And that's what I built the clinic to be over the years. I remember how excited one student was when she found out that a case we had taken up to the Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women won a resounding victory there in 2015. I think students are inspired by going into depth and understanding in very great detail how the laws violate women's rights, the effect it has on them when they do, and how you can use law to change that. They're inspired by what they've learned in the clinic, and they make a difference in the world.